Go ahead.
Okay. As has been said before, I'm Jennifer Chavez from Earthjustice. I'd like to talk a little bit about my own experiences and try to weave them through with my thoughts on how organizations in DC can start to really commit and act to make diversity a real commitment in our work. So I think my personal story is pretty boring. I won't spend too much time on that.
No, it's not.
But I do have a little bit of an anecdote. When I was growing up, I was really enamored with Native American culture. Growing up in southern Colorado, that was really more what sort of resonated with me. So I was always really offended driving down the road with, sort of in the back seat and thinking, why do all these signs have to be here and all these bridges? We're ruining all the beauty of this country. I just wanted a vision. I wanted sort of the idealized West that used to be. And so that was sort of how I started coming into this idea of, we need to really save and preserve the earth. And, I was always a little bit of a hippie when I was little. Well, I used to think, hiking sounds so awesome. I would love to do that someday. I thought it was something that you had to go and get like specialized equipment for, like rock climbing, and go to a national park. And I think it may have been, quite late, like in college, when someone invited me to go hiking. And I was really disappointed to find that all we were going to do was like drive to the edge of the city and walk through the woods. I thought, oh my goodness, I've been hiking my whole life and I didn't know it. Because, I thought hiking was something that you get, like you order gear from Patagonia or something. I didn't know that when we packed up, our bologna sandwiches and went, up the canyon to walk up the mountain, that was hiking. So I think that, the fact is that, as Jorge mentioned, poll after poll have shown that Latinos already care very much about the environment and care in greater numbers, at least through their actions, through their votes, through what they say they would be willing to spend in terms of money on conservation, even in greater numbers than whites. And the same is true for black populations. And so I think there's maybe a problem here in that the image of environmentalism just doesn't reflect what people see in the mirror. And that's a problem. I think that we need to start, maybe start stripping away all of the things that we've started to heap onto the image of environmentalism and simplify that, because really that's unattainable and undesirable for a lot of people. But a lot of people care about sustainable living, and they care about healthy environments, and they care about having a beautiful place to go and relax on the weekend, with their families. Roxana mentioned already the incredible diversity of the Latino community, and I wanted to just highlight that a little bit. It's very important to understand, first of all, who it is you're trying to reach, and not to make any false assumptions or presumptions. There's incredible diversity within, say, a family of immigrants from a particular community. As you go up in generations that they've been in the United States, their attitudes tend to change, the polls tell us. Religiosity, for example, is not universal. Political attitudes are not universal. So it's important not to start out with the idea that there is one monolithic Latino attitude out there. I think that what all of our organizations can do individually and collectively here in DC is really make a serious long-term commitment to first understanding what is our goal here, what do we mean by diversifying. What does that mean for the DC environmental community? What does that mean for Earthjustice, for AWS, for all of your organizations? If you're not the leader of your organization, go to the leader of your organization and talk to them about why this is an important commitment, an important priority. That it's not enough just for you, the person, the person of color typically to be attending these panels periodically, that there needs to be a commitment throughout the whole organization. I think my goal would be to sort of eliminate the concept of outreach. There's no longer an us and a them that we're reaching out to, but we actually reflect the people that we are, no longer, the concept of outreach no longer even needs to exist. So I think that requires a lot of sort of internal, gazing within ourselves and understanding, sort of what barriers we might have within our own organizations to attracting and retaining people who reflect the diversity of the city. There are lots and lots of resources that, maybe I'm exaggerating, but there are a fair number of resources to get started on doing this within your organizations, and it doesn't have to be something to the extent that you hire a consultant. You can look at reports online. You can look at what other people are doing. What we may lack here is a clearer understanding and sort of baseline for the District of Columbia, I think. A lot of the polls that you see, a lot of the work that has been done around national organizations, climate change and energy, which our groups here are sort of tied into, but often we're more working on cleaning up the Anacostia or greening, this community. And, the attitudes that people are expressing about energy and conservation and green jobs might not exactly translate. They might, but we shouldn't presume, I think. I think there is a little bit of I had a hard time finding polls about attitudes on things like water quality and green infrastructure. Sort of the less, right now I think climate change and energy are the sexier issues, but it would be good to have a better understanding of what people think about and feel like they feel is a priority for them in terms of a green and sustainable urban area like DC. So I guess that's about all I have to say, is that I think we're all going to have to really seriously commit individually and collectively, and it needs to be a District of Columbia specific project, and it's going to have to be long term. And I certainly hope that happens, and very much looking forward to engaging in that.
Thank you. Now we want to have a conversation and hear what other people are thinking. And I know we have some diversity consultants in this audience, and we have lots of different environmental groups, and then we have a lot of people that I've never met before that I don't know why they're here. But let me